Well, like I said, the next video that I'm doing is, of course, the outdoor bench. This bench is made of cedar. Now, I have my custom table legs already cut at 17 inches. If you have not seen that video, I can link it, but I do make my own custom legs. I also have my bench seat ready to go. Again, that is in another video on how I put this together, so I can link that one too. So I finally run out of excuses as to why the bench that my wife asked for years ago, I mean, what, 9 months tops, isn't done. Then I guess it's time to do it. Especially when you're doing videos, she's like, well, why is my stuff not getting done? So I'm going to go ahead and do her bench. Pretty easy build. Again, it's all cedar. It's going to be an outdoor bench. So at the end, I will coat it with Spar Urethane when I'm done. But let's go ahead and get this built. And with that said, let's get dirty. Okay, well, I set the top and the legs aside because we're not going to need those just yet. The first thing we got to do is we're going to take our 34-inch pieces. Now, how did I determine that? So my legs are 2 inches by 3 inches, and I'm having the 3-inch side facing out. So I want an inch gap on each side of the bench, right and left. So it's 42 inches. So I want an inch on the side. So I'm going to subtract 2 inches. That's 40. I've got two legs, which are 3 inches each. So that's 6 inches. So I subtract that. So now I'm at 34. So I got my 34s here for the front panels. And the first thing I want to do is I want to determine which side I want to face out. So once I have that determined, I'm going to need to put pocket holes. So I got my Craig K4 system already set up and ready to go. I want this side, to face out. So I'm going to put 2 pocket holes on each side and about 3 pocket holes right down on the side that I want on the top that's going to hold the bench down. So I'm going to get those started. All right, so if you're using the K4 system, I'm going to put a pocket hole on A and C. Okay, so now that I got my pocket holes in the sides here, I'm going to put like I said before, the 3 pocket holes on top for these two 34-inch pieces. And I'm also going to pick out 2 9-inch pieces where I'm going to put 1 pocket hole in each one of these up at the top to hold the seat down. So I've got my 2 picked out here, and I got these here. So let's get some pocket holes in these. Now I'm just going to be doing 1 pocket hole, so I'm just going to use B. All right, so I have those ready to go. I got all my top pieces cut. So I'm just going to set my pocket hole set aside because we're going to come back to it later. There's 2 more pieces I'm going to add to this bench, but I don't add it until the end because I want to make sure that the measurement is spot on for those pieces. So, and we'll get to them, I promise. So I'm going to assemble the ends first. So I got to make sure that the pocket hole that I put in the end piece is pointing down so it can hold the bench down. Can't tell you how many times I've done it upside down. So once we have that ready, we're going to throw some glue on them. Okay, so I'm going to use the assistance of my bar clamp here to hold them together while I put the pocket holes in. These bar clamps, I know I've said it many, many times, but these bar clamps are excellent for holding these pieces together because they give me a nice straight flat edge too that I can do my lining up. So now that I have it clamped down, I'm just going to throw my screws in real quick. Now on this, so this is a small area, so I'm definitely going to need my right angle attachment for putting the pocket screws in. All right, so we have that one done. We'll set it aside and we'll knock out the other one. So we got to make sure we grab the piece that has the pocket hole ready to go, and then grab us a pair of legs, throw some glue on each side, and put our bar clamp on. So now we have the top pieces on. Now I'm going to throw the bottom bracer on. So I've got two 2 5/8 inch spacers here that I'm going to use to help me put these on. So it's the same scenario. I'm going to put some glue, slide the piece into place, and then use the bar clamp again. It's going to help me get everything all lined up properly, clamp it down, and now I can throw my 4 screws into those holes. So I have this one done. I just got to repeat it on the second one, and we'll be good to go. So now I'm ready to put my front and back pieces on. Now I had to switch bar clamps, so I'm using one of my Bessie bar clamps. They still work great. They are a straight edge that I can use to help guide, but the bench is just a little bit too big for my smaller bar clamps. So same process. We got to make sure that our pocket holes are pointing down, because that's what's going to hold the seat on for the most part. It is also going to be glued. All right, so now that I have my glue on there, I can start tightening it down and just make sure everything lines up. Now I'm using the container that the screws came in underneath my clamp so I can spin the handle to tighten it down. So I just put that in there as a spacer, which lifts the bar clamp up just enough to where I can spin the handle. So now we can switch out our right angle attachment, because these will go in without a problem. They're not it's not a tight space that's hard to get to. All right, so I have that side done. Now I just got to turn it around. Put the other side on. So again, I'm going to make sure that my pocket holes are facing down. So I got some glue on it. I'll slide it into place. So I'm going to use this container to hold the clamp up. Now, whenever you're doing pocket hole screws, you always want to make sure you have a clamp on it so your wood doesn't shift while you're putting your screws in. Believe me, it will happen. Basically, with the clamp, you're saying, I want it right here, and I want it right here. So now that I have the basic frame built here, I want to take an inside measurement from this piece on the inside to this piece on the inside, which it's coming up at 38 inches. So I always hold off on that piece just to make sure that I can take a measurement of it and make sure that it is spot on. Now for a 3.5 foot bench, it's not absolutely necessary to put a crossbar in here, but I'm going to do it just for entertainment purposes. But you definitely will always need one here. So if this is 38, that's 38. So you don't want to take your measurement from the top one here. Yeah, even though oh no, it is actually a little short. It's about a 1/16 of an inch short, because the legs can move on you when you're putting it together. So this measurement on the bottom is true, where this one may not be. So just make sure when you're doing the measurement, you do it for where the top would be, because this measurement would be true. This one may not be spot on. So I'm going to go cut a couple pieces of 38 and we'll put some pocket holes in them and get this part assembled. All right, so I got a couple 38s cut here. So I'm going to throw some pocket holes in, and I'm going to put, so this will be my outside. So I'm going to put the pocket holes in on this side here, and I'm going to do 2. Again, if you're using the Craig K4, I'm going to be doing A and C. All right, so this piece is not going to be seen, the one that sits in here. So, you know, I'm not going to spend a lot of time centering it up. I'm just going to center it up by sight and then pop it in. Now, if you're OCD and it has to be in the center, then go ahead and measure it out. That's fine. But again, this piece is not going to be seen. If someone comes over and flips my bench over to make sure that this piece is in the middle, well, they won't be coming back. All right, so the next one I'm putting on here, that one is important to me. So I am going to measure it out. So I know that this is a 9-inch piece. So I'm going to make a mark at 4.5 inches on both sides. And then I'll make a mark halfway on our cross piece. And this is 1-inch material. So I'm going to make a mark at a 1/2 inch on both sides. All right, so I have my marks. So now what I want to do is just take a regular piece of 3/4 stock here, and I'm going to clamp it right onto the end. So I'm going to put one on each side. Okay, so that's basically just giving me a table so I can set this piece of wood on it. Find my marks up, there they are. So next I want to line these up with the lines that I drew. And once I have them lined up, I'm going to use these pistol clamps to hold them down. Now you may have noticed when I put these pieces on, you could see that one was kind of pointing down and one was kind of pointing up. And you know what? That's okay, because once we put these pistol clamps on, it's actually going to fix itself. So I have the clamps on with the little tables to hold this piece, and then I use some pistol clamps to hold it against the table. And again, it actually, see how it fixed itself. These are nice and flush here. So it doesn't matter if one of you put it on and one of your pieces, again, is pointing down or pointing up. Once you put these pistol clamps on, it will correct itself. So don't sweat that. So I want you to notice that I did put my pistol clamps on the outside. That way they are not in the way of me putting in my pocket hole screws. Now this setup should hold this board in place perfectly. If you're feeling like it won't, then you've got your bar clamp here. Just go ahead and throw your bar clamp on it and buckle that down. But again, I have no doubt that this is going to hold just fine for putting these pocket screws in. Smell that? That's the smell of perfection. It came out perfect. So the time has come for us to put the bench top on. Let's grab a combination square and get this set up. Okay, so I have a combination square here, and I have it set up for 1 inch. Now, later on, I want to make a little side table for this that actually attaches to it. So with that said, I want to make sure that the left side, if you're sitting on it, right side, if you're looking at it, is exactly 1 inch. I'm not overly concerned if this side over here is over 1 inch. That's okay. I'm not worried about it. But I am worried about this side. So let's get it lined up using the combination square. So now that I have it where I want it, I'm going to outline the whole spot where it connects to the top. And the reason why is because I'm going to be kind of taking it off to put a bead of glue underneath it. So sometimes I can get away with just lifting it up and putting the bead of glue down, and sometimes I can't. So yeah, sometimes when I put it back down, it will actually not hit the spot. It'll slide. But I'm going to go ahead and give this a try and see if I can get lucky. Okay, yeah, it did slide a little bit. So I'm going to grab my combination square and just do a double check. All right, so to prove that I'm human, I did make a mistake. I should have put the pocket holes on the end pieces off center. I didn't realize I was covering my pocket holes with this center brace here. I'm not going to worry about it. It's still going to work just fine with the glue and the screws that I am putting in. But I did overlook that. So, oops. Okay, so I just put two screws in for right now. I put this one and this one here. And I just want to make sure that my measurements are coming to pass. So they're not. That tells me that something is crooked. So I need to fix that. So I'm going to use this pistol clamp to fix that. Now, I'm going to put the top onto the bench seat, or the top, and I'm going to put the bottom against the back side of the leg. So now I can actually maneuver the top or the legs while it's attached down there at the bottom with screws. So as I'm moving it, I'm just going to take my measurement until it measures out to the 1 inch, and then just check it with the other side, and we got it. All right, so now that that's being held in place, I can throw the 2 screws down here on the end, get those screwed in. And then I'll just throw my last 2 middle screws in. All right, it's a done deal. We now have the bench that she's been waiting years for. It is done. So a couple things. If you don't have a right angle attachment with one of these 3-inch bits, get one. They're great for getting into those tight spaces. If you're using the bit that came with your system, whatever pocket hole system you got, I will link these. These are by Bosch, and these are amazing. I tell you, since I switched to these, this kept stripping out on me, kept stripping screws. I have not had a real problem using this one from Bosch. So again, I will link that in the bottom. So we're done. The only thing I need to do is I'm going to grab a chisel to get some of these glue beads off. So this is an outside project, so I am going to coat this with a Spar Urethane after I do a metric ton of sanding and soften all the edges. But otherwise, that's it. You're done. The bench is made. So I just made a 15-inch by 42-inch top, cut my 17-inch legs, and from there it's pretty easy. You just pretty much throw it together with a little bit of glue. I'll let this sit overnight. It'll be dried tomorrow. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe. Hit the bell icon to be notified of new episodes as they become available. If you're new to the woodworking hobby, check out my Woodworking for Beginners video series. It's a 12-part series. It just gives you the basic overview of woodworking with simple step-by-step projects. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments section. I'll get to them as soon as I can. If you'd like to support my channel, I'll put a link down in the description to make a donation. It would also be a great help if you could share me on all your social media sites. That would be awesome. I'd appreciate that. So until next time, keep it safe.